Welcome to Inside the Upside Down. Tonight we are going to be talking about why we investigate the paranormal. Why do we do these things? What's in it for us? And what's in it for you guys and those who watch our videos and read our books? That's coming up here on Inside the Upside Down. All right, so yeah, all these questions about why, why did we get started? What got us into it? All those sorts of things. Why do we investigate the paranormal? And we do want to apologize to all of our fantastic and amazing viewers for no Edge of the Rabbit Hole earlier this evening because, well, YouTube just totally crapped out. In fact, it came up like 2 minutes before this stream started. So we hope many of you are still out there live. If not, I know you'll catch the replay. And
spread the word.
Yes, definitely share it out. Spread the word. Let everybody know that, hey, Inside the Upside Down is at least on tonight. Inside the Upside Down, brought to you by 100 Red Rose. It helps you hunt ghosts. It's our own coffee, so there you go, sponsoring ourselves. In any case, we do see that people are down there in the chat. Sharon Lane, Jill Nimchinsky, there's Robert, Tom McNicholas is down in there, Kathy Ciliento. All right, Tim Schoen. Yeah, we got some people down in there. All right. Thank you, guys, very, very much for sticking with us this evening. All right. So, Shawna, you and I each... we have very similar reasons, I think, for why we investigate the paranormal. We have different beginnings, but I think one of the things that has brought us together here very well is the fact that we have a lot of similar beliefs in the way we investigate and what it is exactly that we are trying to discover. So let's start with you. Why do you investigate the paranormal?
It's always been a big mystery to me. And I have questions with no answers. And there's really only one way to find out. And I'm not ready for that. So in the meantime, we investigate and we explore and we research. I got my start a lot later in life. I was pretty much a clean slate, a blank canvas until 2004. So... living in a haunted house, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, there's Tom McNicholas, $10 super chat. We stick to you both like glue. Thank you, Tom, for that. Really do appreciate it. And you guys, you Mad Hatters, have been absolutely amazing, and we really do appreciate that. So, another little tidbit. So we will be putting the poll up very soon for this guy, the skeleton back there. We have... all of your suggestions, and we're going through those. We'll have, I'm hoping we'll get it up tomorrow, and that'll be here on the community tab on the YouTube channel, as long as YouTube doesn't die again. Why do I investigate the paranormal? It's kind of like the last frontier. Like Chuck Banks has his Death, the Final Frontier, and it kind of really is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like out in space and stuff like that. Star Trek had Space, the Final Frontier, that sort of thing. But the paranormal, as far as like what we can explore here on Earth without having to, shoot ourselves out there somewhere, that's kind of like the Final Frontier here on Earth. And I've always been one to, it's been intrigued by mystery. And, this is one of those, given the things that I experienced early in life that I want answers for, and I know that others want answers for. I think it's one of those things that just, drives me, to keep, to keep searching, to keep trying to discover. I think that we should always be learning, and this is kind of like the ultimate learning journey. The ultimate unknown. How much can we learn and discover without actually dying ourselves going down that road, you know. So I think there's a lot of reasons as to why. You know, as far as, you know, my start, a lot of you know this, is, you know, the shadow person that I saw in my room when I was a child, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and there it was in the corner of my bedroom, and it, you know, it interacted with me before it ran off down the hall. We got a lot of videos about that here on the channel. You know, but that was just one of several incidents when I was young. You know, there was a possible one when I was younger, which, because I was so young, it's really hard to tell. And you know what? There's actually another one that I thought of that I never really thought. I never remember it, but it popped into my head a couple of weeks ago. Was probably sometime in between that incident when I was really young and when I was 8 or 9 years old. There was a time when I was, it was in my parents' bedroom, and I was waking up in the morning because I'd gone there. Apparently I had a bad dream or something like that, and I can't remember. I don't remember that. What I do remember is waking up, and, you know, I don't know if it's paranormal or supernatural, what the hell it was, but as I was waking up, I was looking off toward my parents' closet, which was on the left-hand side. My mom slept on the left, my dad slept on the right, and I was looking off toward the closet area, and I saw like this image of this girl. And I can't say it was a spirit or an apparition or anything like that. What I ended up asking my mom, though, because I told her about it, you know, I saw, you know, like this girl, like this picture of this girl. I can't remember exactly the way I worded it. What I specifically remember asking her was, "Do you think that's the girl I'm going to marry?"
And the answer to that was no.
No.
Obviously not.
Yeah, she probably thought I was completely off my rocker, but and I don't know what that is, you know. So there's these different things, and I've, you know, talked before, of course, about the other little shadow person there when I was 13, and then the little investigation when I was about 15. So yeah, so it's kind of always been with me, and like I said, mysterious things have always intrigued me, and I want to know, and I want to find answers. And there's also this, I've talked before here about passing on knowledge that we've gained. I think we've been doing a fantastic job. We both love research, and I think we've been doing, I think, maybe you guys think differently, I don't know, a pretty good job of gathering that information, that knowledge, and trying to disseminate it and pass it on to others.
Right.
So Spooky or Jessie says, oh, she's at a number of people. I think the spirits are more active this October. How many of you think it's because of everything going on in the world? I don't know. I think they're just as active as ever.
I mean, I think because October is considered, you know, that month where things are a little creepier, a little scarier, you know, the world, you know, nature is dying. Literally, it just gives that vibe, you know, even though it's colorful. Well, not here in Illinois so much. Where it's once again going from summer to like November,
Yeah.
without the fall in between. But I think our bodies, because of this time of year, is just programmed to be more aware of it because we're already in that vibe, that mindset. But also, I kind of had to believe that, you know, in the fall, you know, maybe the veil is a little thinner. I know some people believe that.
Well, that was a question that came up on one of our shows the other week. Was about this time of year. And was that when we had the Southern Gypsies on? It may have been. And the idea from that was that because a lot of people are thinking that right now and are looking for it, that maybe that collective energy kind of brings more about. I don't know. I mean, I've investigated, I don't know how many different times in October and of course other months throughout the year. And to me, at least as far as investigations, it doesn't necessarily seem more active as it does at other times. I've gotten paranormal activity in all months of the year. So, but you know, that's something that part of what we do and why we investigate. Maybe that's one of those things that we try to answer somewhere down the road. Is this one of those months where that's like that?
Right. I mean, looking back just over just our video history, like I came in a little later. The channel's always been here, but just our history. I mean, we have just as much in the warmer months as we do in the colder ones. There's just stuff always going on. We're always catching something. I haven't had a spirit yet, answer the question, what month it is, what season it is,
right.
Is it cold?
What year it is? A lot of times we don't even get that.
Yeah, I mean, one night in a cemetery, well, you got my teeth are warm.
There's that.
Yeah, but one night up in the Catholic cemetery, and my dad was actually with us that night, and there was audio EVPs going on, and we didn't even know about yet, but commenting on how cold it was because it was in the fall, and it was getting pretty chilly, and then we had this woman say it is cold. Wasn't one of us, but it was someone that was there that was acknowledging it, so I have no answer for do they actually feel, stuff like that in real time, or is it just like we don't always see them, and then sometimes we're like, oh, there's a ghost, it's like, do they have random moments of, real life going on, like, it is cold, I don't know.
So Jessie Marie Beauty asked, the hurricane that just came through killed 20 plus people. You think maybe energy is higher? I would say around that area for sure. As far as the death of people, that always brings about more energy in that specific area. Of course, the storm itself has its own energy. I've heard some different theories about things like tornadoes, where when they come through, they may actually pick up energy off of the land somewhere else and then drop it to wherever they end up landing later on. So there's some interesting theories about that. So around that area, would it affect the energy worldwide? On some small level, perhaps, because everything's connected. But I don't think it's going to be as strong here as, say, where Hurricane Michael hit, even though I'm named Michael. But, and I guess we should throw out there, of course, that, our hearts do go out to the families and those that have suffered through the hurricane. I have an uncle who's been through many hurricanes now because he chooses to live in St. Thomas. And, I've heard, I don't know how many stories over the years about some of the tragedies there from the different hurricanes. So, I've been through a couple myself as well. So it's always tragic.
I have some friends out there too. So, it's dangerous. So dangerous. I like Florida. I visited there a handful of times. I don't know if I could live there because of, that threat. I mean, we have threats here in the Midwest too, but, yeah, I think you're more likely to find shelter, from a tornado. And hurricanes just last so much longer sometimes. So, yeah, I think if I had to choose the lesser or choose between the two evils, I would definitely stay here. Maybe not so much in Illinois, but...
Well, where I was at in Ohio is generally one of the safer areas in the country. So there's just every location can get its occasional tornado, but it's not a big earthquake zone, not a big hurricane zone. Of course, there's no volcanoes. You're not going to get a tsunami off of Lake Erie or anything like that. So, so there's some safer areas of the country than others, but I guess it's a little off topic. So, so back to, why we investigate the paranormal. What are we looking for? A lot of people go out in these investigations and they're looking for a thrill. They want to get scared. But that's not us. No, that is so far removed from what I'm in it for and what he's in it for. I mean, spiders scare me. I don't even need to leave my house for that, So,
Yeah, I have no desire to be terrified or to be scared. Haunted houses, commercial haunted houses, they're cool. I mean, there's one I'm rather fond of, but that's not, that's for entertainment, though. Not that investigating is not entertaining for us, but it's goes a lot deeper than that.
Well, yeah, you have to enjoy what you do.
Yeah, we do enjoy it.
And we do enjoy it for sure. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. There's definitely there's a passion with this. I mean, how much time and effort do we put into doing all this? So there's definitely a passion behind it. And I think it goes back into searching for those answers of the unknown. I think there's some other things involved there where we're helping people. Where it could be the spirit. It could be if we're doing a residential, if we're doing a house, maybe we're helping people there. Maybe we're helping a historic location. Or maybe there's some information that's been lost to time that we're helping to uncover, or even debunking some fallacy about about a story or a legend that's been out there, and during the investigation and during the research and everything that we do, we uncover some of those nuggets that are like, oh, wait a minute, that's actually not true. Here's the real story. And maybe there was a nugget that was true, but we discover some other things. So I think there's a lot of different things that we're looking for here. Unfortunately, I think the mainstream perception of what we do is what's seen on TV. And what's seen on TV is just bad entertainment. Yeah,
it's bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to go there and be brutally honest like I usually am. I'm my own hurricane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I may step on some toes and piss people off, but it is what it is. You don't have to listen to me. So, but I'm entitled to my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion too. Everybody listening is entitled to their own opinion and what they like and what they don't like and why they, watch the TV shows. It is entertaining. I wouldn't know because I don't watch them anymore, but it is entertaining. It was when I was watching it. And then after a while, once I was like, this is kind of fun to watch, but it's really kind of bullshit too, because it's not, the theory behind it is how it happens, but this is not, reality. This is not the reality of it. So I stopped watching it for entertainment value, and I was more interested in the places they were going. I wanted to see, what the name of the venue was, where it was located at, if there was anything factual about it that they were putting out there. And then once that was done, I was done. I mean, that's it. There was no, ooh, Zach Bagans is so hot. He's
yeah.
There was none of that for
the
me.
show that must not be named.
I mean, let's just, I don't care. I don't care.
I used to watch it, and of course haven't since the incident. But I would really only watch the first, 20 minutes to maybe the first half of the show, to be introduced to a location, to get some of the backstory, which you'd always have to go back and fact check, because a lot of times it would be inaccurate. Some of it would be accurate, other parts of it would not be. But then you'd also get experiences that other people, like they interviewed and whatnot, what they had experienced there, and you'd get like a nice little walkthrough of the location. So all that part was fine. But then when it got down to the investigation, and it was and did you guys hear that? And getting possessed by a demon or whatever. I mean, all that throw that out the window. So
it doesn't happen on demand.
No,
it doesn't. It just doesn't. There's sometimes we ask for stuff and get nothing. Fortunately, though, there's a lot of times that we do ask for stuff and stuff does happen, and that's because we're not just on to the next thing. We build a relationship with a venue. and with its inhabitants.
Yeah, I mean, like the stuff going on with Molly at Mineral Springs, and you guys can see that in the Mineral Springs video that we just posted on Saturday, which I know, and I do apologize for it not going up on Friday, which is our normal schedule. It's just a glitch in the matrix on my computer, and there was no way that I was going to get it back up in time for it to be done on Friday night. So it went out Saturday, but putting together, those parts where we went like section by section of Mineral Springs, and you could see, like, especially up there in the upstairs section with Molly, and how all that has built up over since the first time we walked in there. And we could feel something, and something said your name. And then it was another time that we went back, and we're walking out of the room. There was a hey that we didn't catch until the rewatch.
Right.
We'd already put out a video on that with that in there.
Totally.
We just put a second video that had that clip in it on Saturday, and we didn't even catch it until the replay again.
We were sitting there watching it on the big screen, and then all of a sudden we're both like, what?
Did you hear that? Yeah.
What was that? And it was such a clear, defined yes, and you could tell it came from a female. And so I was like, oh my God, why, where, how,
Yeah, so you had that, and then we walk into the other room, the chair scrapes, we walk back in there, she asks, where are you going? And then, we've been up there a couple more times. You had the Molly incident, which was not filmed because we were doing a public investigation for the Haunted Road Media Paracon that time. And then the part that we did film, which was just a couple weeks ago, and that's when you broke down crying. So it's like this buildup of, as you were saying, you're establishing, I say rapport, but you're building that relationship, like you were saying, with the spirit that's there, and I think you've really done that. And so therefore, you're able to, you'll learn more about who's there and why she's there and what happened to her.
Like I said, I don't have any supporting documentation that her name is Molly at all. I cannot prove that. All I have is my own personal experiences and no explanation whatsoever for why the letter M or why her name popped into my head. But once I put it out there, she was just super, all of a sudden, just right up on my business and hands-on, and just the energy would just knock you down, literally. Had I been standing, I probably would be sitting, I mean, it was, I can't even describe, I can't describe it. I'm a writer, of course I can describe it, right? But, I mean, it was just insane. It was crazy for me. And, after, going back, the energy is still, you can still feel it, in the room. And then there are moments when you can feel it, stronger. And then it wasn't quite that knock you over energy as it was the first time. But like I said, I think I'm going to be about as sure as I can be that that's her name until I can prove otherwise. I'll be real surprised if that's not her name. I would love to be able to find some kind of supporting, documents that, says that there was someone named Molly in there, and don't even know if she died in there or not. Maybe like some of the other spirits, that are in there, maybe they just, remember that place as a place they enjoy. Maybe they're able to, go back there. I think the history on that room, which we still aren't really able to disclose.
We're not really able to talk about, some of the things that happened there.
But I know it wasn't that pleasant in there, but
there's no way to know if she was involved with that or not.
Right.
Because, you're talking about 100-year history of the hotel.
Right.
So, what part of the timeline was she involved in that? That's part of what we're trying to figure out.
Right. Because I guess there was like a certain block of time where, that area just wasn't really all that pleasant, but her time in there could go, before that. Yeah. Or it could be after that. I have no idea.
Yeah. That's part of why we do this is, we're trying to, discover those things, figure those things out, and have an opportunity to be able to tell her story. And I think that a number of these spirits that are still lingering around here, and we don't know why they still are. That's, of course, another thing we're trying to figure out. But I think a lot of them want their story told. They want to be remembered. They don't want their life to have been completely meaningless here. And there's something that they're reaching out to try to tell us. And I think we need to tell her story, and we're doing that. We're doing parts of it.
I think that's why her response was so strong, is because, maybe I'm the first one to, acknowledge her that way. Like, people talk to her room, just whoever answers, but I was, singling her out. And I think maybe, if I was a spirit and I had all these people coming in all the time and nobody talking directly to me, or I was not, able to communicate with them in the way that I would communicate with other people, and all of a sudden this one person, like really feels me and singles me out and possibly got my name right, I definitely want to get to know them more.
Yeah, I think you kind of, whatever resonance it is, I think you tapped into that resonance, and she's like, oh, this person actually understands I'm here, who I am, all of that. And it's not one of these people that just walk in randomly, with this, box of noise that's going, can you give us a sign?
Sorry, ghost box lovers.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I did forget to mention, I was going to talk about it at the beginning of this show, but because of the way everything happened tonight, I didn't get a chance to introduce the whole thing. So you notice on the splash screen, it just says why. And that's a series that we're basically starting here, is why. Why, this one is, why do we believe in the paranormal? We're going to get into, why do we do different things? Why do we believe certain things? Next week is going to be why we hate the ghost box.
For those of you that choose it, you are welcome to chime in and tell us why you use it and why you think it's a legitimate tool, even after hearing all the stuff that we're going to spew at you, the science behind it all. Even after hearing that, if you still want to use it, that's fine.
And it's a topic for next week, and I'll reiterate it next week, because I have a lot of friends that actually use a ghost box.
So
and, it's, to me, when it comes down to it, if that's what you want to use, go for it. I'm not going to, and I just want to explain why I choose not to, to each their own. But, yeah, we'll get into some of the different things next week on that.
You guys are going to hate me next week.
So that's a new series we're starting. I saw a couple things in here. People are asking again about the skeleton, because we had more people come in after. No, we haven't named him yet. The poll is going to go up. We're shooting for tomorrow. We're going to go through some more names this evening and get that poll up starting tomorrow. Betty Lange asked, why show young children on those TV shows? That was distasteful to me. I'm not sure which show was showing young children, but I think it would be distasteful if they were exploiting a young child during a show.
Yeah, I know that the paranormal affects children. I know that sometimes it affects them more than it affects us sometimes, especially, when, we have a chance to decide, what we filter out and what we don't. If children are just, wide open to it until they're programmed to think otherwise. So, until they get older and realize they have a choice, and so I understand that it affects them. And I'm glad whenever they come forward and trust an adult enough to say something, but I think that there is an age where they shouldn't just willingly be exposed to it. Watch Scooby-Doo like I did, I get it. Yeah. Like, one of my best friends has a daughter who at a young age loved to watch the scary movies, and she was pretty advanced for her. She was pretty mature for her age. Yeah. And she was able to,
let kids be
get
kids.
it.
Let kids be kids.
I get it, but, even I, as close as I am to her, to them, I'm just like, you know, if she wants to investigate with me, I can't. You know, I mean, she did go on a tour of Mineral Springs.
Well, and I think that's
but that
fine.
was
A supervised tour, yeah.
a supervised tour. No way in the world would I take her up and do what I do whenever there are no kids around.
Yeah.
You know, and I certainly, well, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to say I certainly wouldn't expose them to anything darker neither, or talk about it. I really do. I think there's a time and a place, and I just don't think they should be exposed to that.
So a lot of people are pining for us to do a live Halloween show. So Halloween, and we're just going to have to say it's not going to happen. Halloween, Shauna works. It's the day after Edge of the Rabbit Hole. It's a Wednesday. So you'll have our shows on that Tuesday night. Our special topic, I just said that we were going to start a series on why. We'll take a break for a week. We're going to do a special Inside the Upside Down on witches, and depending on how things go, because we have to reschedule Chuck Banks to come back, and of course I've been trying to line up other people to get on the rabbit hole. I was thinking maybe we would do witchy shit with Vanessa too on the rabbit hole, and kind of do like just a witch night.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You
So
know, wear your shirt, represent.
Yeah, so that's the 30th. The 31st, we will release a video. However, it will have been filmed the previous Saturday, the 27th. And that is our special Halloween investigation. We cannot go live from there. There's no signal.
There is just no signal there.
There's nothing coming out of there.
Unfortunately, we pick places where there's just no signal.
That happens a lot, unfortunately.
In this area.
We try, but and then
That's
you guys
a shame,
end up
too.
and then you guys end up with a pixelated live stream, which is
It's a shame
ridiculous.
too, because this place, it's nice.
It would be cool live.
It would
be
it's
really
so
cool live.
Well, you guys saw the replay though, because we put a video out.
We put a video out last year on the place, but it's a little bit different this year. So you'll see when we get it up there.
But there was some activity going on though.
Yeah,
It was a great place, a haunted commercial haunted house, and I just, right away I had special ties to it because, as I've explained before, my dad used to live in there when he was a baby. And then the house was picked up and moved somewhere else, and then what's there now was built around it.
And the foundation it was set on is even older.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff going on there. Bree Jones says sometimes the best history is not written, even if we can't prove it. I agree with that.
I do too.
And history is also written by the victor. So how much of history has been lost just because some culture that conquered threw away the history from the previous culture. So and that's one of the things that we're doing here is we're trying to discover some of this lost and hidden history, so that we can and to pass it on to the next generation. So what else did you guys have? Because I saw a couple other things. I thought I saw Betty Lange down in there again. Betty Lange. Could it be hard to prove because we do all have our own personal experiences? I guess it was a while ago. I'm not sure what it is referring to. That's the paranormal? I don't know.
Are you talking about just the paranormal in general? Like it would be hard to come to concrete, proof because everybody's experiences are their own, not everybody. I mean, it's gonna be hard, unless a ghost comes right up and says, "Hi, my name is, and this is what's going on the other side. This is what it looks like." We ask those questions, not directly. Like I'm not gonna ask somebody if they know they're dead, but I know the people that do that aren't watching, and that's okay. But anyway,
you're dead, right?
You're dead, right? Yeah. Don't ever ask that. We can't be friends if you do that. So you may have already done that, but don't do it again. We can still be friends. We're still okay. So, yeah, I think it's the most ridiculous question ever to ask, especially if it's one that doesn't know.
Yeah. But back to that about your own personal experiences. I think that one of the interesting things is that you'll have your personal experience, and somebody else has had something similar. But because the experiences are so wide and varied, it might be a little difficult to find somebody else who's had those different experiences, which is one of the reasons why we've put together the Encounters with the Paranormal books, is that, now we have invited, people to share their experiences, contribute stories to those books. Of course, those who contribute get a free book, so that the reader, upon reading that, they may not relate with my story. They may not relate with Shawna's stories. But there may be somebody else in there that they can relate to. Hey, I've had that same experience. That happened to me too. And realize that they're not alone in all of this, that they're not crazy, that these things really do happen to people, that people do see these things and experience these things, and they're not alone in this world. So, that's another reason why we do this is, to kind of, I don't know, it's almost like, I don't know, it's, you want to call it group healing or whatever. I don't know what you want to call it. What a good term for it would be, but
it's
a group
like
of
group
people.
therapy.
Yeah, like group therapy. Yeah.
Like for the longest time, you've been like an outcast because you have weird stuff happen to you, and people label you as weird. Don't go around her; she's weird. I was that girl. I didn't give a crap neither. I'd have been just fine on my own because I got to experience all the cool stuff. And then finally, some people started to be like under the radar. Like, hey, I know you're into that stuff. Well, the other night, and then pretty soon there's another one in the fold, and it's kind of contagious a little bit. Everybody has a story. It just, everyone at some point has had something. It may not be, something went bump in the night, or it may not be, I saw a shadow or a spirit. It may be something like, I had a dream that, this happened and then it did. That's kind of a supernatural, experience, just all of us at some point has had something happen, and some of us have had a lot of things happen. So, but we've all had something, and that's kind of what, we're interested in, and why the books, happen, because we want everybody to be able to have a creative outlet for the stuff that they've experienced. Maybe someone's not ready to write their own novel yet. It all starts with one story. And pretty soon, like, hey, I have another one, and I have another one. And why haven't I written a book yet? I don't know.
Right, exactly.
But, we all have a book in us, those of us that are interested in this stuff, we all have a book. So, write it, get it out there.
Get your book out there. That's right. Write your story.
Yeah. Practice what I preach.
Sharon Lane is asking, some people feel more powerful in spirit than they did in life. That's a good question. A lot of times it's hard to really know that because we didn't know these spirits in life. I know that a couple people that I knew in life that have come to visit me, I don't know if they necessarily felt more powerful, because it would just be kind of a moment that I would experience them. So it's an interesting question. We've encountered some powerful spirits, but again, not knowing what they were like in life, it's hard to really know.
Yeah, a lot of people have visitations from people they know that have passed on, and I'm not that person. I would love to be that person. I would love for someone that I know, to visit me. Someone that especially someone modern that has, known me since I've been doing what I do, and have them come back and be like, hey, before they, silence me, here's something you should know. Here's something you want to know. I don't think they're able to do that, but the visitations that I've had from people that I actually knew, was not really anybody that I was close to, like in a dream or whatever. If you want to consider that a visitation, and maybe it is. Sometimes they feel real to me, but even that doesn't happen very often to me. But all the time, people that I don't know. So.
There's a question here directly to you from Judy Wilson. So, Shawna, are your kids able to pick up on spirits like you do?
They used to. They used to talk about it. Actually, my oldest, he's 17 now. And he actually, before I moved to where I am now, in 2014, I moved here. But before that, when the cafe was still functioning and I was investigating there all the time, before I really knew anything about shielding, about, any crystals, any of that, I was just wide open. I would always say, hey, don't follow me home, but stuff always followed me home. And I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't realize I could stop it. And so one of the more nastier spirits from this place had followed me home, and my son saw him. And I had never talked about it. That is one thing. They knew that I would go to this place that I used to work at, but they didn't really know what I was doing in there until after my son had started seeing some of these people in his room, and finally came to me one night because one of them kind of spooked him a little bit, and understandably so, but he came to me and described exactly, someone that he knew nothing about that I had personally seen. So, I told him, from now on, anytime you see something like that, you tell me. I'm not going to think you're crazy. I'm not going to tell you, no, you didn't see that. So then I kind of had to explain things a little bit, to the best of my knowledge. I'm not an expert. None of us are. Some of us have more experience than others, but that doesn't mean we're experts. If we were experts, we'd have all the answers, and we don't. I don't care who you are. We don't. Anyway, so that kind of explained a little bit, what I do and why I did it. So I didn't have a choice. So my youngest one, he's only about 14 months younger. He does his own, thing. He used to, when he was younger, would see shadows or hear stuff, and stuff that I would hear going on. I'd be like, stuff like that happens. Don't worry about it. Just ignore it, because, they're two totally different personalities, and now they both know what I do, but I haven't really gone into it, that much. Connor sometimes will come in here, to get his shout out on the show.
He pops in on occasion.
And he came in on the cafe show. Hey, I remember that place, because he used to go there. So, but if they see, feel, hear anything going on now, they're not telling me. And I assume that they would if they were. So I don't feel anything in the house. So
no.
And I'm happy with that.
Chipper Terry says that she got her I'm Into Witchy Shit t-shirt, which is very cool. She said it was fast service. And we use Spreadshirt for that. They do a pretty good job, unlike this other service that I ordered a t-shirt from that has taken almost a month now to get here. Shauna doesn't know what I'm talking about, but she will. So Donna Gorton is down there in the house, and we'll throw out a little apology to Donna, but we were kind of like scrambling to get back together when we realized YouTube was back up, and we were just like, oh, let's hit the go button, and boom.
Before it went down again.
Yeah. So we didn't mean to not tell you, because she is our Cheshire cat in the house tonight, and is moderator here for Inside the Upside Down. So Tom McNicholas asks, do you think family and friends who pass want to look after us instead of communicating with us? So just want to look at us and make sure we're doing okay rather than actually reaching out and talking to us? Maybe, because my uncle has done that a couple of times, where I know that he's popped in and he's been there and he hasn't really interacted with me. I know he's there because of his aftershave. It's very distinct. And, I don't use aftershave, and certainly did not ever own any of his. So it's been a little while now, but that happened a few times at my apartment in Ohio. I know my grandfather, after he passed, popped in a couple times. There was one time that I believe was an interaction with him. So mostly I think he just popped in, checked to see how things were going, and then would be on his way, but one time did interact. But I think he went on with my grandmother to wherever after my grandmother passed, and never Aside from a dream with the two of them, where I do believe it was them reaching out, I do believe it was a visitation. That's been it with my grandparents. And you just haven't really had that.
Yeah, nobody in my family visits me that has passed on. I don't know why. Maybe there is a rule about it. Both sets of my grandparents are gone, and I was close. I was close to both sets. I was closer to the ones that I lived in the same town as, because I saw them daily. I saw them more. I kind of had a bad feeling, about, and some type of, at the time I didn't realize, but some type of, symptom going on. And I was like, well, and then we get the call saying, you guys, need to come to the hospital like right now. And I'm like, oh my God, did I, what is this? Let's shut that off. Because I would hate to, have that kind of a, moment about somebody else and be like, shit, but people have that. Sometimes people have that. They have that connection, or they can see stuff before it happens. And I don't really want that, but, and it doesn't happen much. So, but that night, or after the funeral, during the funeral, actually, I was like right up there. My grandpa, used to love to listen to me play, and he wanted me to play at his funeral. Right. And so I was like, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that or not, but I did. And then, no visitation from him at all. And then afterwards, even though I really, I asked for it, but I didn't get it. And then my grandmother, when she was in the hospital, dying, she was having, someone was definitely visiting in there. I mean, and you can tell, some of us could tell, you could feel it in the room. And then, she was saying, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. She'd been practically, in a coma, just really out of it, but then all of a sudden she's like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. And then I smelled his tobacco in the room. This is in a hospital, there's no smoking in there, but it was so strong. And she was gone not long after that. So I, believe that he was in the room, and I believe he came to get her.
Yeah, and this Adam Tiller's question here kind of follows up on that. Why do you think most good spirits can only stay for a little bit? For example, when a past loved one comes to visit us, I think it's just temporary, and I don't think it's necessarily a good spirit, bad spirit thing either. I think it's for both good and bad. That, I think there's some place that we pass on to. And I do believe in reincarnation now, which is a little different than my upbringing. But I think there's various reasons why people stay for a little, like the whole thing with my grandfather when I was talking about before. I think he hung around for a while until my grandmother passed away. There were times that people witnessed or saw my, grandmother speaking to him, and they didn't see him. They just saw her speaking to the air and believing it was him. Now, my grandmother was developing dementia at the time. So some people would, of course, just chalk that up to, well, it's her dementia. But I knew that he was actively visiting people because he visited me a couple times. I knew that for a fact. There's another one of my aunts that said that, she had experienced him because she came to me and she's like, I know you're into this stuff. So let me ask you, because she knew she couldn't ask some of her other brothers and sisters because they would just been upset. But she asked me about it and some of the different things that she had seen and witnessed and smelled, actually, as well. And so I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him visiting. I think he's going around to each of us while he's here. And again, after my grandmother died, I never had one of those physical experiences that he was visiting again. And I think they went on. The whole visitation with the dream, I'm not sure how that part really works, because to me, I believe that was after they had already passed on somewhere. So are they able to communicate when they're up wherever it is, if it's up or a different plane of existence or whatever it is. I think it's almost kind of like, what our real quote unquote home is. And, are they just hanging out up there? And, did they decide one day, hey, let's pop in and visit Mike? We haven't seen our grandson for a while. Let's pop in and visit him. And they visited, and maybe that's one of the methods of communicating from that plane of existence. I don't know. So why is it only for a little bit? I think we just don't know the rules. And we've talked about that before, where there might be some rules in play that they can't exactly let us know certain things, and why that is, I don't know.
Now, I will even ask a spirit if they believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
I'll ask them, where do you think you go when you die? Like, like on the goldenrod, especially. Captain Mankey never believed in ghosts. He didn't believe in it. He said in an interview, when he was still alive. But I was talking directly to him, and I wanted to know, why, I heard that you do not believe in people, haunting people, ghosts, after they're gone. Well, where do you go when you die then? Where do you do? How do you explain, seeing, feeling, whatever, when you know that they're not really there? How do you explain it? Somebody, listen to me, somebody tell me, and, sitting on the stage, addressing the showroom in general. And then I hear someone sit down at a table in one of the box seats, like right there by me, so somebody was listening. Nobody was answering, but somebody was listening, and I'll ask any spirit anywhere just in hopes that someone will tell me. It's like, do you know anybody that's died, and do you still see them, or do they still talk to you? Do you believe in ghosts? What do you think? Where do you think you go when you die? Like, I understand, like, they probably can't tell me where they are, but could they tell me where someone that they know has died is? And are they both in the same place? Kind of like a sneaky, underhanded way.
Very different than the whole, you're dead, right? Thing.
Yeah, there's a way to find out, if they know what's going on without actually just rudely asking them like that. It's like, I heard, or, that something bad, happened, are you okay?
Yeah.
Now, where are you at? A lot of people don't like that. What year is it?
But I think it's a legitimate question. You're right. A lot of people don't actually like that question. What year is it, or what year do you think it is, or something along those lines. But I think it would go a long way if somebody would actually answer it to establishing how things may work on this side. If they died in 1927, and you ask, what year is it, and they say 1927, then they believe it's that year. Even if however, what is it, 90 years would have passed since then.
Right.
So it gives you kind of an inkling of the way things may work. I mean, you still have some questions about that, because you would still have the question of, how time works on that end. Is it 1927 to them still because time doesn't seem to have passed to them like that, like 90 years just went like that to them, or is it they just are disbelieving that they're actually dead? So
right, like I have like two separate experiences, and I've already explained the one of them at another place I used to investigate. It used to be called something else. Campsell Inn Restaurants, no longer open, but it used to be a hotel, and it used to be called the Bryn Hotel, and the owner's last name was Bryn. It was his hotel. He died in his room while counting money. So we were using money as a trigger object, and told him that if he could tell us how much we had sitting there, that we'd leave it there for him. But while we were waiting for something to happen with that, we just started asking questions like, wow, this is a really nice place that you have, what's the name of it, or who are we talking to? Are we actually talking to Mr. Bryn? Who is this that's in the room with us? And a male voice said Bryn, when that was his last name. That was documented his last name. That man actually existed, and he owned that place when it was a hotel. So we asked him, this is a nice place that we're in, what's the name of it? And he said his last name again, and it was the Bryn Hotel. That's documented. That's true, And so to him, it was still that. But in my reality, whatever year that was, it was not that anymore. It was a restaurant. And the upstairs were like living quarters for the people that owned the restaurant. There was someone living up there. So that to me is an example of time maybe not passing for that one.
Or is he always just going to relate it to that? Because that was his place.
Right.
So even if he knew that time had passed, he may still refer to it as his own, because that's how he had always experienced it. It had always been his in his lifetime. So. Right.
And, of course he never said what year it was.
Of course.
But, but that to me was pretty, a pretty nice turn of events,
Yeah, well, to actually get that last name, so then know you're talking to him, or at least maybe somebody at least related to him or something. It seems like you knew it was him.
Yeah, I mean, when we left, the money had been moved. The money did move. Nice. We didn't get anything. We left recorders in there. We could hear the change moving. There was like a couple of bucks and some change. You could hear the money moving. But it was just us upstairs. There was nobody else upstairs that was unaccounted for. I mean, we were accounted for. Nobody else would have been able to get to the place where the money was without going by us first. So there was like no alternative entrance to the building to get up there. There's really only one way. So we were pretty sure that nobody else was in there messing with the money, that it was him. But we didn't get him out, and we left it there anyway. So because he was nice enough to make that happen in the cafe. We would always leave, toys and stuff like that. And we got permission from the adults in there for Byron or whoever to come and play with the toy and on the real-time audio. And then we caught it on a regular recorder too, but on real-time heard a man inhale, exhale, and tell him to go. And then we could hear, running, and you could hear the toy moving, but we were watching it. You couldn't see it moving, but you could. And then on audio, you can hear him interacting with that toy. You can even hear the little creak on the, that Very he was coming to it, because we put it there at the base. So in order for him to get to it, he would have to make noise on that, and you could hear it. So, so he was obviously had made contact with it, but yeah, we couldn't see it on this side.
So Kathy Ciliento is back more to why we are doing this. She says, I think most people investigate out of curiosity, something you hear and see possibly. So, yeah, I think that's where a lot of people start. Either they've had an experience or they're curious about what may be out there. And what's kind of interesting about the books that we've been publishing with the Encounter series, and even some of the others where people have, like Kathy Gash or Katie Hopkins or even Vanessa, where they've kind of told their story about how they got involved and everything. That's where a lot of interesting stories have come out of, and it's been as a publisher, kind of fulfilling to see where a lot of these people that I've been talking to now for years, where their roots came from. A lot of people, yes, are out of curiosity, and a lot of people are out of personal experiences that they had, so they kind of almost got thrust into this. And there's some people that were skeptics, that didn't believe in any of this stuff at all, and all of a sudden like something happened, and they were like, okay, now what was that? And they needed to keep going, and their curiosity was getting the best of them. Of okay, so I saw that, I'm not sure what that was. I don't believe in that, and then something else would happen, or then they start to go follow up on it. And so it's really, really interesting to see how a lot of people started down that path and why they got started. So you see a lot of that in especially this next one coming up. There's a lot of first experiences in volume 4. So it's between the first, like, what, shadow person first, there's first EVP. There's a lot of firsts in there in how people got started. So for I don't know, it's for me, there was first experience, but also I had that curiosity, even because, like, when I had that first investigation, when I was 15 years old, I wasn't really thinking about the experiences I'd had as a kid. Even though it's like one of those things I always knew existed. I had a curiosity about mysterious things in general anyways. But then when it was a combination, okay, the Hans Holzer book, the Amityville horror book, and then when Lori said, I think my house is haunted. It was like those things, boom. It was like, okay, yeah, now I'm curious. What the hell's going on in this world? So that was Adam's question. I think we're behind on the chat here a little bit, which is fine. And so Fungi says, my mom claims she saw my aunts manifest as a hungry ghost on the street. Wow, okay. Whoops. I hate it when it does that, when it just jumps all the way down to the bottom. Like trying to slowly scroll, and then boom, it jumps down to the bottom. That was okay. Donna Gorin, there's a couple days spirits get before they leave to kind of say goodbye and understand they've died. Then there's sort of a halfway place where they go to learn the rules. Then they can fully cross over. Also return in visitation. I mean, I don't know, because there's a lot of spirits that just hang around here. I know my grandfather, it wasn't just a couple of days. He was around a couple of years before my grandmother passed, and then they went on together. So I think it's one of those things we're still trying to figure out. How does all that stuff work? So because, yeah, some people go and you never hear from them, at all. You don't ever, even within those couple of days after they passed away, there's nothing at all. Like they're completely gone. Mm-hmm. Other people are still hanging around hundreds of years later. So.
Is it because we won't let them go?
I think some just won't let themselves go. Like you hear all the time about like the ghost of Catherine Howard running down the hall, begging for her life. And Rob Guttrow's experienced her there. So it's, and I trust Rob. So it's not just a legend or story or anything. Apparently she's legitimately there. And, so she's kind of killed herself there.
But is that a residual?
A lot of it, just saying the whole running down the hall thing does sound like a residual haunt. But from the way Rob tells it, she's there as an intelligent haunt, but just keeps reliving the same thing over and over again. And I guess he talked about, we had the Ghosts of England episode back in the spring with him, and he was talking about some other aspects of her where she's actually intelligently there. So,
I've never been there.
Neither have I.
Would love to.
So Dustin Samario, hey Dustin, how come you sense spirits by smell rather than sights? I've done both. I've done both. Mm-hmm. So it's not either or, one's more than the other. I think people tend to pick up on spirits differently because we each have a different vibration amongst ourselves. And this is another interesting thing, kind of researching all this and, and kind of why we investigate. I think it's because it's more than just ghosts and spirits and personal experiences. I believe there's actually some, legitimate physics involved here. And, to kind of, research that and actually get into, why this happens on a physical level. A lot of people talk about, vibration. And I think that because people do vibrate on different frequencies, that they're able to pick up on things in different ways. So like I see more shadows than apparitions. Shauna sees more apparitions than shadows. So, why is that? Phantom smells, I think we've each experienced that. Yeah.
I think maybe like if someone out there experiences smells more than anything else, maybe it's because could be a couple of, maybe it's just because they just have a strong sense of smell. That's the easiest way for them to pick up on stuff like that. Or maybe they don't want to see, but maybe because they're blocking out, that sense, their other ones are more heightened. So maybe their sense of smell is stronger because they're blocking what they're not comfortable with out. So that heightens their sense of smell. So maybe that's why, they pick up on that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Ohio Metaphysics and Paranormal Research. Is that you, Sean Gilmore? That's the new group, right? Says, I've only had one relative visit me after they passed, and it was on the night that they passed away. And a lot of people do report that sort of thing as well. I think that's another reason why a lot of people suddenly become curious and want to investigate the paranormal, is they've had an incident like that where they had a visitation from a relative. I've heard this about grandfathers and grandmothers and a mother and whatever, where they appeared in their room, and like at the foot of their bed, like, Mom or Grandpa, what are you doing here? And then they kind of walk out of the room, and they'll kind of ask the next day, hey, I saw, Grandpa in my bedroom, last night. And then that couldn't have been possible. He died, earlier that day or whatever it was, So, and I think that's one of the things that kind of spur people into this is like, okay, how did that happen? Why did things like this, happen? And so, that's not what got me into it, not necessarily why I'm investigating. I mean, it's questions like that that I want to try to answer, but I think that's how a lot of other people get into this.
Yeah, it's not just my own questions, that keep me interested in it. It's stuff that I haven't experienced yet that other people have experienced. I want to find out for them too. Maybe they're not into it quite the same way that, some of us are, and so they don't know the resources that are out there, and that we, have access to, or that we have knowledge of, so they're just being like, I don't know why I keep seeing this, or why I keep hearing this, or do you know what happened, or where I can find out? I may not have all the answers, but I can, try, I can try to lead you in the right direction, at least give you a good, jumping off point, and then, it creates kind of a little spark, then, maybe they answer their mystery, or maybe they don't, but they may discover other little mysteries that have absolutely no relevance whatsoever along the way. It's this 24-hour a day obsession sometimes, even when you're supposed to be thinking about other stuff, behind the scenes, you're thinking about, this stuff. So it's just a never-ending saga. It's just always there,
So there's an interesting discussion down in the chat about the rules. Tom McNicholas is saying, like, the book Beetlejuice, the handbook for the recently deceased. Tammy Heisman is asking about who tells them what's okay and what's not.
That's a good question.
It's a really excellent question, and I don't think we really know the answer. I think we could basically kind of guess at those answers here. And they're good guesses, as to why things are and aren't. Because that comes about a lot in our investigations, where we're trying to ask questions, and some questions we never ever get an answer to. And so I think that's where we've come up with this idea that maybe they're just not allowed to. Maybe they're just not allowed to tell us some of these different answers. And why is that? Of course, that's one of the reasons why we investigate, is we're trying to discover why. And and so, what rule, who puts that into place? What are the laws of the universe? What's the, is it the higher power or whatever that has set down these ground rules? Like, oh, you can't be doing that. Or is it just some, if it's all vibration and resonance or whatever, is there some sort of physical law once on that plane of existence that if you actually try to, even mention something, that there's just a complete disconnect, that it can't happen, even if you tried up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's one of the things that we would love to know, and we just don't. I don't believe we seriously have a real answer for. I think we do our best to try to come up with some sort of reasonable answer as to why that is. But I think without actually going there, we're not going to know. And unless some spirit finally breaks the rule and tells us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to be that one.
I don't know.
I expect all of you that, whoever goes before whoever, it's a standing rule. You have to try.
Yeah, you have to try. And see, that's another frustrating thing too, is also that, because we've had a lot of different experiences. I've known people involved in the paranormal within this field that were investigators that have passed away. And it's like almost every single person says, I'll come back and let you know. I'll come haunt you or whatever. And it's like very rarely do you ever hear anything from them. If at all.
Steve Huff hears from everybody. That's for next week. Never mind.
That's right. Art Bell talked to him and gave him all the answers. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Yeah, that's for next week. Yeah, so but so you don't. But yet, you'll get visitations from people from, whether it's a relative or somebody that's been just hanging out in that house for 50 years or whatever. Yeah, so you hear from all kinds of those people like that. And then the people that have said, yeah, I'll come back and I'll let you know what's going on. And that doesn't happen.
No.
So yeah, it seems to be some sort of rule in place. I don't know. So, what else we got? They started going on about purgatory and things like that. I don't necessarily believe in purgatory, even though I grew up Catholic. Yeah, that means you could start getting into some religious debates with all kinds of stuff like that.
I mean, we go somewhere before we end up where we're supposed to be when it's all, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done. And whether you believe in God or gods or God, whatever you believe, there's a higher power there somewhere. There's a source. There's a something up there. There's a place you go in the meantime, and then there's, wherever you go after that. I don't know.
Well, and I guess here's another thought here. Because this one's been thrown out there before, and it makes sense that when someone passes on and they're finally made aware of what the heck's going on, or what this world is, and what the next world is, that they kind of realize, all those things that we said did down here. It doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, I know they really want to know, but God, it just doesn't really fucking matter. It's trivial. It's like, I know I had said I was gonna go back and tell them and let them know, but fuck, it's just so damn trivial that there's no reason to go back and tell them. It's no big deal.
Well, I hope I don't feel that way, because I'm gonna come back and tell somebody. I hope it's not like that for me.
So, So Donald Gordon is saying, not a guess. I've been shown and told. They can't tell us everything. What I'm saying is what I've been told.
By who?
By who? Because anytime we try to ask that stuff, in most everybody else that I've talked to that's tried to ask those sorts of things don't ever get anything for an answer. So, yeah, that'd be interesting to know where that came from. All right, what else we got? So, Serenable was asking what happened to the show tonight. So, yeah, that was YouTube.
That was all YouTube's fault.
YouTube died for like an hour and a half.
I mean, it was all over the media.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It was crazy.
It'd be interesting to say what happened because I know it's not going to be the truth.
Well, somebody had, I think Bree, if you're in there, I think she's the one that sent me a link, or maybe it was Diane. I can't remember. Somebody sent me a link in my inbox about Twitter going first before YouTube did.
Twitter was up.
I don't know
because
I'm pretty sure it was
I was on Twitter checking Facebook's account to see, what they had to say about it.
Maybe.
So
would Twitter have gone down first, and maybe they came back first?
I
don't know.
I never saw Twitter being down.
I'll have to look at the link.
Yeah,
again.
because I was posting because I have like scheduled posts for hey, the shows are on at this time. Now we're going live. All that is scheduled in throughout the day, and my phone was lighting up that hey, people were responding or retweeting or whatever. So I don't believe Twitter was down. I never saw Twitter at all, at least on my end, go down. And that is where I checked YouTube status, and that they were in fact down.
Yeah, my feed was like musicians and stuff like that. It's like, well, YouTube's down. What's going on Spotify? I mean, just the whole world was just like, oh God,
What next? Or there could just be people throwing rumors out there because. Once one thing goes down, everybody's like, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the next person's like, oh, this did happen, that did happen, even though it never did. Kind of like, I was working in the Washington, D.C. area when 9/11 happened. And so there was all kinds of shit flying around about, there was a, car bomb here and this was going on. And none of this stuff that was flying around was actually happening. So who knows? Will you still be posting the show? Well, there's no show to post.
Yeah, there's really.
It didn't happen.
There was like a 2-minute replay.
There was, yeah. If you go to our Periscope account, or I guess it would be mine, Mike Ricksecker Periscope account, you'll see like 5 minutes of an attempted show because the chat had stayed up for some people, and it stayed up for me for a while, and then it died. So. Because we do a simulcast, there was 5 minutes out there on Periscope until I realized that the chat's still going, but they're not seeing anything. We just cut it off.
Chat was up for a while for me.
Yeah.
Like we talked for a long while.
Yeah, it died for me somewhere along the way, and the monkey came up.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad night. So what'll happen, because we had Chuck Banks on, so that will get rescheduled. And we'll just rebroadcast the show, but there's just nothing to post because we didn't have a show. I mean, I sat here and chatted with Vanessa and Chuck for a while, and we kept checking on YouTube, and we're checking Twitter, see what was going on, and we're in communication with different people of hey, what are you seeing, what are you witnessing? And I was talking with Shauna about hey, what do you see, that sort of thing. So that's the way the night went. So we'll just redo the show. So what do we have? So Donna says, I've been told that we are met in the waiting area, if you will, and told the rules often by a guide or a higher being. I've also been told they can't say more or they can't come back in visitation. Well, I mean, we've been saying that there's some, probably some sort of rules set up,
I just want to meet my spirit guides.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe these little twinkles that are following me around, maybe those are it.
Maybe.
Well, and I see one, but it's usually, I mean, I can't tell one twinkle from another, unless they show up in another form of light. But,
yeah.
These twinkles, they all look the same. I don't see more than one in the room at the time. And it's just one. So maybe that one is following me.
Yeah. And are they fairies?
I don't
And
know
see,
what
and
they
that's
are.
another reason why I do this. Is a
That's-
lot of
yeah.
those, oh God, it has to do a lot with the ancient origins and how the Earth began and the way things were, history and all that. And it's like, I'm not talking about the type of history in a dry, boring. If you had a bad history teacher that just was like names and dates and that was it. I had some good ones that were storytellers, and those are the best history teachers, are storytellers. But to actually, try to discover the way things had been in the earth, and because a lot of these legends, like we've kind of like bashed the fairy stuff because we want to know what real fairies are, because what we've seen we believe are, but then you pick up a book on fairies and it's all this mythology and folklore. It's like, oh, God, we know those are just. It's fiction. Most of what you're reading there is fiction, but there's nuggets of truth within it. So it's like, okay, what parts of it are actually true? What parts of it are actually real? And that's where Kathy Saliento was asking about curiosity. It's like, yeah, I have a curiosity about a lot of different things, and that's like a kind of like a history side of, what are the actual origins of the earth? What are these things that existed, years ago? Were we able, as a human race, able to see more of them, hundreds or thousands of years ago, and we've lost that now, perhaps. What kind of knowledge have we lost over time? What abilities have we lost over time? I wish we would have gotten Freddie Silva on here in September when he had an internet issue, but we're gonna have to wait till like next spring, where like the standing stones and the ley lines and all that energy that our ancient ancestors used to access, and how they were able to utilize that. And we've just lost that knowledge. And so I want to go back and learn how all that stuff worked and regain that knowledge to be able to pass it on. There's so much here. It's not just, like I said earlier, it's not just ghosts and spirits. There's so much more to this that has just been lost over time that I think we need to go back and discover and reclaim.
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
So, what else you guys got? So, Bree is saying, Siri told me she wouldn't work at my piano. Oh, okay. That has nothing to do with this. It was in bold, so I started reading it, So, Betty Lang, can we live without internet now? No.
No.
No. Internet is here to stay. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they thought it was going to be a fad. No, it is here to stay. It has been it's really been a help. I mean, there's a lot of bad things about it. There's internet addictions out there. There are people that have gotten themselves kidnapped and killed because of the internet. It's destroyed relationships. There's a lot of bad that's come out of it, but I think there's a lot of good too. You can find out whatever you want about anything, within like 5 minutes. If there's just some subject that you've kind of been like, it's just kind of been, I've really, what the heck was that? Or, I wanted to learn a little bit more about this or whatever. And, instead of having to make a trip down to the library and hope they have a book on something, you can now at the drop of a hat go find it out. And car sitting over there, and something breaks on the car or isn't working right, you can go find a YouTube video if YouTube's still up. So there's a lot of great things about it, and it's one of the things that actually helped propel me into all this. Kind of like the whole why are you doing this, how'd you get into all of this sort of stuff from when we started the show. That's part of my story, is that all these different things happen growing up. Then when the internet finally became mainstream, it was kind of in the military sector for a while, developing and all that. When it finally became public, it was more than just bulletin board systems, although you can get some good information in bulletin board systems. We had like the forums and like Yahoo groups and all that kind of stuff. Or people's different little web pages that they put together. If you remember graphics from 1995 and 1996 and what all that was like, there was a lot of back and forth and discussion on a lot of those pages and forums of of different people's experiences. And so I'm sharing people what I had experienced. I'm reading about their experiences, just asking questions about space, time, ghosts, paranormal, all different kinds of subjects. I was asking people what they thought about time travel and stuff like that. And so it really helped propel the discussion. And still is doing so today, just in a different format. It's no longer on some clunky bulletin board or something like that. Now we're doing it here, interacting directly with you on YouTube. So it's come a long way, but we're still having that discussion. And so, I think that's another reason why we do this, to continue having these discussions. Because I think the back and forth with different people, and learning about what other people have discovered. It's not just, this isn't just me and you talking here. I mean, yes, we're talking and you guys are watching and listening and all that stuff, but you guys are also presenting down there in the chat your findings, your experiences, your beliefs. There's all of that going back and forth, and so we're answering your questions. So we're discussing it. You guys have your own opinions that you're throwing down in there. We talk about those. So I think it's great.
Yeah, you can't just. There's not just one all-knowing person that's going to give us the answers just because we're asking for it. So that's the beautiful thing about the internet. There's some of it that's not bullshit. There's actually some people out there, that they have actual, legitimate, relevant, important, opinions. That they're not just talking just to hear themselves talk. I mean, there's a genuine, interest in the subject. And, there's a lot of you out there that have the same kind of passion that we do. You want to know too. You want to see these places. You want to have these experiences. It's just why we do what we do. It's like we would like for you to be there, but not everybody can be there. So for those of you that can't be there, now you can.
Yeah.
In spirit.
Yeah. And, we've said it before with our live investigations that, while, okay, sure, you guys are looking at the place and experiencing the place through our eyes and our camera and all that, but you guys become another set of eyes and ears and all that for the investigation. So, it's really a lot of teamwork, even though there's thousands of miles that separate us, or hundreds of miles, or wherever you guys are at. Donna Gorton saying, I love the access to all the knowledge and connections I've made with people that I would never have or would have only been via pen pals. Yeah, absolutely.
And that energy during a live is still there. I mean, especially with, people have any type of abilities at all. Anybody that has legitimate abilities, projecting that, when we're, seeing what you guys are saying, even though you're not in the room with us, it's like all of a sudden the energy is just kind of, picking up a little bit, because even though you're not in the room with us, there's still energy. It's still being projected, into the room, towards us, through us, since we're there, and then you guys will sometimes see and hear stuff, that we don't see and hear. And then we listen, or watch the playback later. It's like, well, I'll be damned.
Yeah,
there was something there, And so, you guys are with us. May not be in the room, but you're still, a part of it, and you're still experiencing it, just in a different way.
Heather Ulrich Atkinson says, this is the longest I've been on YouTube. Normally I'm curled up watching a movie. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Really do appreciate it. I hope you subscribed as well. So, and Sharon Lane says, it'll be amazing to see what HRM is doing 20 years from now. We'll have taken over the world.
Yeah. World domination.
That's right.
One show at a time, whatever. Yeah.
Betty Lange asking, Mike, Shauna, do you think your past relatives together so you can investigate? I don't think our relatives really care if we're investigating or if they're getting together so that we can investigate them. I think that's kind of what she's saying.
I don't think mine didn't know that I...
Yeah.
Like I said, my grandparents, my grandfather
my uncle would have known that, but my grandparents weren't. Yeah,
mine didn't know. I didn't know if they would I didn't know that kind of thing. You just didn't talk to your, your grandparents about. I mean, coming out to my dad about that was hard enough. It's just I had stuff that I needed, dad expertise for.
Right.
Dad, I need you to build something, or if I wanted to get from here to there and I don't have a ladder, how am I going to get up there safely? Or, Dad, there's this one door and it's stuck and none of us can get it. Why do I want to open it? Okay, well, here's the deal, Dad. I'm just going to lay it out there. That's how my dad got involved. And then he started going sometimes, because not just to help us get from point A to point B on another floor without a stairs or a ladder or anything. But I think he just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. There was a genuine concern for my mental health, I think, at that point. And then...
Oh, okay. Okay. So Betty kind of reiterated it, and then Bree, I think, kind of tried to help clarify here too. She said, I think she's asking if the two of you were together in a past life so you can investigate now.
Oh.
Well, yeah, we were in past life together.
Yeah.
A few, at least.
Yeah. I hope you weren't there for my many stonings, drownings, and stuff like that. I would hate for you to see that.
I might have been holding the stone.
You're in the doghouse. Yeah.
I worry about that, though. I have actually worried about that. Like, I know we've been together in a past life, and I know that's happened to you. It's like, I hope to hell I was not holding the stone or something stupid.
I hope I turned you into a toad.
Well, there was the one, there was the one where it was a dream that I had, and I have had dreams of past life. I know for a fact I had a dream of past life in Vietnam. I have no idea if you would have been in that life or not. Like, you would have had to have died young too if you were, because I was shot point blank in the head in Vietnam. But there was other one that I had, and maybe it was just a fun dream. Maybe it was a view at a past life or whatever. But I know it was you. I know it was me. We looked different, and I was doing the chivalrous thing of trying to rescue you. You're on some sort of platform in the middle of a room of, it was a like a castle sort of thing. There's a lot of people around us, and they're all pissed off at you. I was coming to help. You had red hair, I remember that.
Of course.
Yeah, long red hair. And basically, it's like I grabbed you and almost kind of like did this zip line thing from that platform to the door in the room, so we could get out there and away from them, running down the hall. And there was this like religious guy, almost like a priest or like a monk or almost like a bishop sort of kind of guy. And he was something to do with your family, connected to your family somehow. You knew him, and he was like, quick, you can get out this way. I'll tell them you went off in a different direction or whatever. And so he basically, showed us down this trap door so that we could escape the castle.
Huh.
So it's
What
like,
is this castle? Let's go there.
I know.
It could unlock a past life.
It could. It could.
Yeah.
So it's like something you would see in like any movie.
So that's another reason why we need to go to Ireland, Scotland.
Yeah, it could have been one of those castles.
Could
I
have
don't
been
know.
one of those.
Was it a past life? I don't know, but it'd be very cool if it was.
Imagine that. I was
Rescuing
in trouble
the damsel
and
in
people
distress.
were pissed off at me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, but hey, you actually had a good connection with a religious guy.
Well, what do you know? It's not all bad.
Yeah.
Thanks to that one, at least.
So B3 Aerospace is wondering when the skeletons get a name. So we're going to put the poll up hopefully tomorrow, and you guys can start voting on that. So it'll be in the community tab here on the YouTube channel, as long as YouTube still exists tomorrow. So down to Gorton, your dreams could also be forming around a past life memory. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I know for a fact the one is this with I don't know. Maybe. I know we've had past lives together. That was a fun dream, to say the least.
It was like some Zorro rescue.
Exactly. It was exactly like that. Yeah, it was very, very cool. A lot of fun. And I did get a glimpse at the end of the castle as we were running out, because basically that trap door led down to a tunnel. We were running out of the tunnel, and it was like through a wall somewhere, and we were outside the castle, and you got to look back up at it. So
you need
I could
to
probably
take a look.
just start going through all kinds of castle photographs, to see. So
I've had dreams about buildings that I've never visited before. So
yeah.
And to find out, they do exist. Okay.
What is this? Mike is clergy. I don't know about being clergy. I may have been clergy in a past life. I wouldn't doubt that, actually.
I am pretty sure I've never been a religious sort in any life. Ever.
Yeah, well.
I think I've pretty much always followed the same path, I would imagine.
Yeah. Possibly. All right. I don't know. I think there's some other stuff in there, but we've been going over an hour and a half, and I think we kind of did that. I mean, there's a lot of good discussion topics in here. It wasn't all exclusively about why. There was a lot of what we've done in here and all that as well, which is fine. I mean, you guys ask a lot of great questions, and we absolutely enjoy telling you guys about our experiences and why we do what we do and what we've done and why we believe what we believe. So so I think we'll kind of wrap it up. Betty's saying chat is alive. You guys have been doing a lot of chatting down there, so it's been kind of hard to keep up with it all. For those that are new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We always do a giveaway on the thousands, so 9,000 is coming up here pretty soon. Sean Gilmore was our 8,000 winner, and so we'll be looking to draw another winner here for 9,000 very soon. Which should be very, very cool. We're gunning for that before the end of the month. So by by Halloween, I think we can make it. It's 2 weeks away.
Yeah,
it's 2 weeks away. So
trying to hit 10,000 before the end of the year.
Trying to hit 10,000 before the end of the year. Yeah, which would be absolutely fantastic. All right. So yeah, Tom McNicholas. In 20 years, Mike and Shawna's kids will be continuing their legacy. I don't know.
I mean, we each have our own kids.
Yeah.
We're not going to be spawning any further creations.
Yeah, we're not.
I lack the required equipment, so I can't do it.
Well, I kind of do. I mean, mine doesn't function in that capacity anymore. You lack it. Mine got snipped. It's like done. TMI moment here. But we can practice a lot.
Oh my God, shut up. I hope my kids are not watching. They don't need to know that.
As she turns extremely red.
Oh my God.
Okay. So on that note, let's go ahead and get to the shout outs. I'm going downhill fast. I know.
You a toad. Next full moon, you wait.
All right, so Super Chat Superstars for the evening. Tom McNicholas, we really appreciate you being a Super Chat Superstar for tonight.
We will see you
on this
Saturday.
Crazy night. Yes, we'll see Tom on Saturday.
And Dustin.
So, yes, Heather, I made her blush. So, Donna, thank you for Cheshire catting the chat. I almost screwed it up there. Really do appreciate it. Let's give those shout outs to Kathy Ciliento. Thank you for joining us tonight. Joe Chandler, thank you as well. Sharon Lane, thank you as always. Sharon Lane's been doing a lot of binge watching on the channel and absolutely do appreciate that. Comments on all the videos and it's great, which a lot of you do. A lot of you are always comment on the videos and we appreciate those comments as well.
Binge watch our channel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shauna does too.
I used to fall asleep to it at night.
Yeah.
Just listening to the stuff. But seriously, the latest video, like, I am disappointed in the number of views that thing has. That video is probably my favorite one. And everybody watch it. I mean, just the music that was playing while the interview was going on, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Always got her.
It's a great video.
So, Tracy Christian, thank you very much for joining us tonight. The Haunted Explorers, thank you as well. B3 Airspace, one of our Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons. So, Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patrons, we have, drumroll, Tom McNicholas, B3 Airspace, Zippy Davis, BD Flint, Pamela Queen, Andrew Cox, and Joe Chandler. It's now a new Deep Down the Rabbit Hole Patreon patron. Thank you very much, all of you. So, let's see, who else do we have in? A lot of people in the chat tonight. Great chat going on down there tonight. Absolutely appreciate it. Teresa Louise, thanks for joining us tonight. Heather Ulrich Atkinson, thank you as well. There's Dustin Samario. I'm sure he's drinking some of the Haunted Road Roast. It helps you hunt ghosts.
Keep you up all night.
It does keep you up all night.
Better bring some with you
Yeah.
on Saturday because you're going to need it. We're going to be going
I'll have
places.
more coffee for them because you know they're going to buy a couple bags.
We're going to be going places. Yeah.
You're going to be going some places, yep. Fungi, thanks for joining us tonight. Chipper Terry, thank you as well. Chipper Terry with the new I'm going to do witchy shit shirt. Yep.
Did you get the purple one or the black one?
I think she got the black with the purple text. So, Purgatory Paranormal of New York. Cool.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate that. Sean Oldsmith, thank you. From Australia. Ohio Metaphysics and Paranormal Research. I never caught to confirm that was Sean Gilmore, but I'm pretty dang sure that was the name of the new group. So, there's Betty Lange. Thanks for joining us again, Betty. Thanks for all the Twitter. A lot of you are on there on Twitter, too, and always retweet our stuff, so we do appreciate that. Nichelle Thompson, thanks for joining us again tonight. And there's Bree Jones. Thank you as well. Adam Tillery is in the house. Pick up his book, Mischievous, as well. So
I still need to read that.
that's a good one.
I need to.
And he's got all that fantastic artwork in there, too.
Oh.
It's amazing. Yeah. Judy Wilson says, great show. Thank you very much, Judy. And there's Joe Chandler. Thank you, Joe, for all the support. And scrolling up a little bit here. There's Tom McNicholas. Hey, Tom. Andrew Cox, thanks for joining us tonight. And who else do we have in here? So there were some new names, which was really nice to see. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back down and to see if anybody's thrown their names. Oh, Serenable, yes. Serenable was in the house tonight. And, yep, I think that about does it because I've said all of these names. And if I did miss somebody, there's Jill Nimchinsky. There we go. If I did miss somebody, of course, we do apologize. We tried to get to everybody, but there's a lot of chat in there. You guys were back and forth, which was absolutely amazing. And especially after a night like tonight where YouTube was just whatever. Technology, what are you going to do? It's beautiful when it works and a pain in the ass when it doesn't. So, all right, everybody. Have a great evening. We will be back next week. Probably Chuck Banks, because I was trying to line somebody up for next Tuesday. Didn't get a confirm on that. So if I don't get that confirmed, then it'll be Chuck, and we'll slot him into that anyway. And then we'll be doing Why We Hate the Ghost Box.
But we don't always hate the people that use them.
Well, we love a lot of the people that use them. Yeah, we love a lot of people that use them.
But seriously, be in the chat room and go down there and tell me.
That'll be an interesting chat.
Yeah, and tell me honestly why you use it. Okay? But listen to why we don't like to use it.
There's reasons.
It's not just noisy. But I'm just telling you, the science behind it, listen to that and make an educated answer. Knowing that, why would you still use it?
But that's next week.
Convince me. That's all I'm saying.
All right. So we'll catch you all next week for that. So until then, have a great night.